rise in opposition to the bill that is before us. The bill is entitled an act making changes to the Connecticut Retirement Security Program. And I know that the good chairman just laid out some of those changes. And I certainly want to get into those changes and how they impact the existing program. But I think it's very important to start by recognizing where we are currently when it comes to this retirement savings program called My CT Savings. And in my view, this was a wholly unnecessary program to begin with. I believe it's burdensome on employers. And frankly, I think it's been a failure. And I determined that based on just how prevalent its utilization has been. Based on that opinion, Madam President, I do have an amendment. It's somewhere in my stack of papers here. Here it is. That amendment is LCO 7580. I ask that the clerk call this amendment and I be given leave of the chamber to summarize it. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk.
LCO number 7580, Senate Amendment A.
Thank you. Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This is a very straightforward amendment. It simply changes this existing program. Again, if I had my way, we wouldn't be doing this at all. This is not the right type of policy that the state of Connecticut should be engaging in. I completely understand that the majority disagrees. They have the numbers. They're going to continue this program no matter what I say. But I am requesting respectfully to have the courtesy to the people that we represent, the folks back home, to do right by them and tell them before taking money out of their paycheck. This amendment simply makes this an opt-in program. It will go through the same sort of process, but instead of you getting a letter from the comptroller saying, oh, by the way, we've been taking money out of your paycheck, and you might find out 6 months later or a year later after it's already been taken, and then you discover, oh, well, I was already contributing to my traditional IRA, and oh my God, now I've contributed $7,000 there and $4,000 there, and I'm going to pay a penalty to the IRS, because that's what happens. Instead of that, you would get a nice letter from the comptroller saying, there's this program that your employer has signed up for, and you have the opportunity, if you would like, to participate. That seems pretty reasonable to me as a request for some sort of common sense in our public policy making. So, in short, this amendment simply changes this program from a mandatory burden on employees and employers that they have to opt out of and changes it into an opt-in. And I move adoption of this amendment. I encourage my colleagues to support it, and I would like a roll call vote when the vote is taken. Thank you.
And you will indeed have a roll call vote on the amendment. Senator Kushner, will you remark?
Thank you, Madam President. And I do want to point out that I have consulted with experts who run these kinds of programs, and particularly run My CT Savings. And I just want to be clear, it is not against the law. It is not a violation. If you have a traditional IRA and then you have a Roth IRA, those maximum contribution rates don't interact. And I want to be clear about it. I know the good senator thinks I'm wrong about that, but I have consulted, and I think I want to make sure that people understand that that is not the case. On the amendment, I want to be clear that this opt-out amendment, this opt-in amendment, actually does go directly against what has been enacted in Secure 2.0 by the federal government. As of 2022, a private business cannot run a 401k or a retirement savings program like this and offer it as an opt-in program. It has to be a program where employees must opt out. So what we are doing in the state of Connecticut is we are following the federal guidelines for a private business. And not only could they could not get away with operating a plan where people had to opt in instead of opting out. And so I urge my colleagues to vote no on the amendment.
Thank you. Will you remark further on the amendment? If not, I will open the voting machine. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote. It's locked. Kindly announce the tally.
Senate Amendment A of Senate Bill 1221. Total number voting 36, total voting yea 10, total voting nay 26. Absent not voting 0.
Amendment fails.